Hello, I know I recorded yesterday, but I wanted to update everybody on how my last um, autism evaluation testing session went. It was my fourth time meeting with the evaluator, and it was my second in-person cognitive testing. It was about 2 hours, and we did some mimicking drawings, and then doing as many as you can of those from memory. Then we did a bunch of different questionnaires, and then I also was getting assessed for ADHD, so there was some questionnaires on that, as well as this letter tapping thing where you would only hit the space bar for every letter except for X, and it was 17 minutes of that, she said, which was insanely long to me. I was like, what? I'm going to be seeing letters in my sleep. I didn't, but that's how it felt. I did go into the appointment. I'm going to be a little vulnerable, and I'm going to read it to you guys because I read this to her. I had my therapy appointment right after recording the last episode and realized I just want to write this down so that I make sure I say the right thing that I want to say. So this is what I said to her. I said, I want to give you a brief overview of how I'm feeling during this evaluation process. I have been rehearsing what to say and have decided to make notes to be as concise as possible. I have been struggling at my new job that requires me to interact with people all day. It is also very hard for me to communicate how I feel without taking a long time sometimes days to process how to express something, which is not usually possible with work situations. Every job I have had, I have quit due to burnout and don't want to keep repeating that pattern. Accepting that I might be autistic, though, has drastically improved my mental health as I've been able to stop beating myself up for being different. I'm afraid of that being taken away and going back to how I was when I thought I was neurotypical. I also thought about your question about if I needed more time in school. I did spend a lot more time on school, especially in high school and college, than people around me. I devoted my life to education and did not do much outside of that in order to get the good grades that I did. I also experienced a semester in college where I lost the ability to read and had to drop out. I am fearful of not getting a diagnosis because I have been masking for so long and only have just begun unmasking, and feel that maybe my interactions will be misinterpreted. I am afraid of being invalidated since I have looked at the DSM-5 criteria and feel I'm confident in my self-diagnosis. I also have researched other disorders and don't feel as if anything else fits as well. I am concerned by my own internalized ableism and that without a diagnosis, I won't be able to confidently advocate for my needs at work or even at home to an extent. I keep telling myself that you will not leave me with no answers and our follow-up will be thorough. I almost wish we had more time for you to gather more information, but I know that you are the professional and will give me the best evaluation you can. I also know that my previous history with medical professionals not listening to me and taking lab results at face value and never getting to the bottom of my issues has shaped my expectations for all interactions with medical professionals. Thanks for your time and consideration. So that I wrote up yesterday and before my appointment, and I was just feeling really concerned that I won't get the diagnosis, even though I don't see how I couldn't, but that's partially why, I'm just if it's not that, I don't know what to do with that information. So I mean, I think that goes hand in hand with some of the black and white thinking, just like it's all or nothing, and I keep telling myself that even if I don't have enough characteristics or traits to be considered autistic, I still have a lot of them, and those things aren't going to change because of a diagnosis or not. However, the person who referred me to this evaluator just got her diagnosis, and knowing her and that she doesn't present in like a typical way, and that she still got her diagnosis, like that makes me more confident in the evaluator, that like she knows what to look for in non-stereotypical presentations in women, in, you know, older like adults. I feel a lot better than I did yesterday. Just like, I feel more settled in, like, whatever happens, like, I know it'll be okay. I have my little bunny that I like to rub when I am doing things or whatever, so that's like, I guess kind of a fidget toy, but it was just a gift, and I like the way, you can see that I like the way the little ear knobby things feel. But yeah, I had a coworker say yesterday, oh, I hope you don't have it, but, you know, if you do, and I'm like, I don't feel that way. Like, I am, like, if I don't have it, then I will feel worse, because then I won't have any answers. And, like, I know that, like I said in the thing that I read, I know that she's gonna, like, not just say, nope, you don't have autism, and send me on my way. Like, I know that she'll go over all of the things that she found, and it won't just be a blanketed thing that, like, oh no, you don't. So, fingers crossed that I get answers. I don't want to get a misdiagnosis and someone tell me I'm autistic when I'm not. Like, that's not helpful either. But, you know, I just feel like it fits. I never felt like anything fit until now. Like, I've been diagnosed with anxiety, I've been diagnosed with depression, I've been diagnosed with these things that I just don't feel. Anxiety, maybe a little bit sometimes, like the panic disorder. I definitely had panic attacks a lot. I don't really have them though, since I've been unmasking. Like, there's only a couple of times where I'll feel that way, and then a couple of times where I've had like meltdowns that were very different than a panic attack. So I feel like maybe by not understanding myself, I was causing the anxiety and the depression as well. I feel that that was just a symptom of not understanding how my brain works and not accommodating my actual, like, what my needs are. I didn't ever figure out what they were. I just thought, well, this is what I'm supposed to do. I should be able to do this, and if I have a different reaction than normal, then there's something wrong with me. And so I think that's what really caused the mental health issues, which I know I've talked about, and I'm not going to go on and on about that today. I don't have as much time today as usual, but it's just that understanding myself is the first step to accepting myself. It felt very similar. I was just listening to a podcast from Melissa that I talked about earlier, that I really enjoy listening to her, like, day-to-day life, and that kind of inspired me to start recording. But, like, she was saying today, in the one I was listening to, which is from like a year ago or whatever, I don't know, I'm still catching up, but how, like, her coming out process as lesbian really, like, mimicked her, like, autism discovery, and, like, that they both looked very similar for her. And I feel like it was similar for me too, in that, like, I'm not lesbian, I'm bi. But realizing, like, oh, some of these things, like, the ways that I was different could be explained by that instead of just being like, oh, she's just weird. You know, it's like, oh, why was I only attracted to very feminine looking boys, men? Because I like both. Like, you know, I don't have a stereotypical view of men and sexuality in general. I'm still sort of figuring that out in that, like, I don't know, I'm not particularly attracted to the lower half of either gender, if that, or whatever gender. Like, I'm not really particularly attracted to it. Doesn't do anything for me. I've also never really been attracted to, like, shirtless guys. Like, that was, my mom once said, like, the way you said that, people are gonna think you're gay, because somebody that didn't know me at all, I was like a teenager on the beach, like, going to dinner or something after going to the beach, and saw some, like, person who used to work with my dad, and he was like, are you checking out all the boys on the beach? And I was like, I'm not really into that. I prefer them with their shirts on, their clothes on. You know, like, that was so, I don't know, like, it just, that never was something I cared about. Like, I think it comes with my social struggles. Like, I may be like, oh, that person's attractive, but then I'm also like, I'm never gonna talk to them ever, because no, I don't want to, and they're probably not even a cool person. And, like, normally when you see someone who's attractive, they're like a shitty person, and so, like, I just was like, nah. I would much rather meet somebody through similar interests and hit it off and be like, oh, this person's really cool, and then they become attractive. Like, it's kind of, that's how my brain works. Not that I can't be attracted to anybody without knowing who they are or, like, about them. That's definitely not true. It's just, more often than not, I don't find people that, like, physically attractive like that. You know, if somebody asked me, oh, you know, what do you think about that guy? Like, that guy's really cute. I'm like, yeah, I guess. You know, I'll say things that people are like, that's not a compliment, and to me it is. I'm like, oh, well, like, they have a very symmetrical face, and they're like, what? I'm like, duh, yeah, like, that's like what, like, typically makes people attractive. And because I don't necessarily find them attractive, but, like, I can see why you would think they're attractive, because they have those things that I know typically make people attractive to typical people. And I know that goes along with the dissecting people and understanding how other people work, even though that's not how I work, which goes very hand in hand with the masking and trying to, you know, be this person that you see everybody else sort of being, and, like, trying to make yourself that. So yeah, I thought that was very interesting, and I just really, like, that's another thing. Interesting. People take that as, like, oh, you know, that's a negative. I don't think so. I think that's a compliment, and depending on the tone, and obviously depending on who's saying it. But if I am saying it, I mean that I am interested by it, in it. But I'm also very direct and literal, and people will say, oh, that's interesting, as a way to, like, not be as offensive as saying I just don't like it. But, like, I've definitely done it before, because I know that, like, I don't want to hurt somebody's feelings, but it's also like, I don't mean that. Like, I would rather use a different word. I would rather say, well, it's not for me. You know, like, I would rather be more direct in still a polite way then saying something I don't mean. Like, I really don't like that. I feel like I'm lying. I hate lying. Never been good at it. Every time I do, especially if it's a big lie, I have horrible guilt issues. I just feel like a terrible person. I get like gut problems. It's just like, I don't like to lie. I prefer to be like really open and honest. Even if I'm not lying, I'm just like withholding information. Sometimes that feels really bad. So like I feel like I have to be open about most things to most people, depending on the situation. Like, I haven't come out to my grandparents as bi, but like they kind of know. I'm not hiding it. I have a pin on my bag, flag pin on my bag. You know, I don't keep myself from posting things on like my Instagram that automatically post to my Facebook that like they can see. Now, do they ever go on there, or do they check or whatever? Like, maybe not, I don't know. But like, I'm not going out of my way to tell them or have a conversation with them about it because I know how they feel. But it's also like, I'm not going to hide it either. Like, I don't like hiding things, which is partially why masking has been such a hard thing for me. Is like, I feel like I'm hiding who I am, and in a lot of ways I had hid who I am from myself, and so I didn't even know who I was. And now that I'm figuring that out, I feel like I can't go back. Like, I'm not going to put myself back in the box. I just want to keep coming out of the box. So yeah, I hope that some people can relate to this and see like that you're not alone and it's okay to be different. It's more than okay. It's beautiful, and that's what makes life beautiful, is differences and diversity. And however that looks for you, I know, is great for you. And to love yourself, because that's the most important thing. And I know it's really hard to do that when you can't accept who you are. So if nobody else accepts you, I accept you the way that you are. And you are enough.